Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone today? Whew. Another day, another dollar, as they would say. And yeah, it is one of those days, man. It's welcome, welcome. So much is going through my head right now. And the drama, the craziness. This is where there is, I just feel like so much is unfolding. And there are so many beautiful foot soldiers out there that are coming out and defending freedom, freedom of speech, um, freedom to be. And the persecution that comes after them is just crazy. And what I have learned over the last little while is how a lot of the propaganda works. And I mean, of course, we really saw a lot of that, the last 5 years, right? On how the propaganda works. Hi, Shar. And how this all works. Now, what I find amazing is, like, the more you look into it and you go back through through history, like, you go back and you look at different things in different articles that have come out, you really see you really you begin to you begin to the lenses begin to open up. It's like, as they say, the scales of your eyes start to fall off because you really start to notice things that you absolutely thought were true, right? I was watching a documentary on Michael Jackson, and Candace Owen brought in some of that information. She also did a few things about that whole, him being charged with a pedophile and how they just wanted to take him down. And it comes down to the basis of why did they want to take him down? Because he spoke out against the music industry and how they take advantage of musicians and singers, right? Prince is another one. I mean, that's why when he decided not to use the name Prince anymore and he went to a glyph, and everybody, "Oh, he's crazy, he's nuts," and that was the information that you received. It was everywhere, and I even thought, well, like, who is he to be, like, okay, I don't wanna be called I'm gonna be called a non-name kinda thing. And you see, as when you take the lenses off and you start to see, you're like, "Oh, okay, he's another one who spoke out." I was just watching the whole thing about Alex Jones. I've been following Alex Jones for a while. I just introduced him to showed my husband who he is. Was I had never heard of him. I'm like, well, I've been following because Alex goes into some really deep, crazy shit, and he's brought out a lot of information, and did a lot of predictions, and of course torn apart. I mean, charged, and the evidence wasn't there. It's just all of these PR companies and big political people like the Obamas, like the Clintons, didn't want him there. We're seeing this within our own country right now. We're seeing how this person who is our PM and the whole trying this PR is trying to make him look good, sound good, and I think people are seeing that, okay, no, he's not. There's a lot of underhandedness that goes along with him, and the whole party that he's representing is bullshit. And it's being information, and some of it is it's suppressed. You got to really dig for some of the information on how his affiliation is with China. Like, you got to dig for it. You got to go to some alternative um newscasters and podcasts that bring up this information, because mainstream media only gives you a snap of it. only a snap of it, right? Justin Bieber, yeah. Oh, I know the Justin Bieber thing, because I've done his chart. He's got a very interesting chart. He has his chart is very similar to Carbone, Carbone, who killed himself. His chart is almost like it's really scary. But then again, you got to go into that story and that history of everything with the drugs and the alcohol that was the demise of him. And it is. The other thing too is that Candace Owen did not go into the things that has to do with his wife and the relationships that his wife has and the Baldwins. The Baldwins are a whole nother story on their own on how they still want to keep control in a lot of areas, especially in Hollywood, and keeping control and wanting to infiltrate different different areas. And one of the big areas that the Baldwins really wanted to infiltrate was the music industry. So, yeah, so that's another thing too. So Justin's getting it from both ends. Like, I mean, his mother gave him up basically, but then she was a single mom, single mom who knew shit just knew shit. She just knew her son was a big thing. And these people who came forward seemed to be really nice people. I mean, we can judge now because of what we know, but that's the propaganda. That's what I'm saying is coming forth. And when I look at this full moon is in Libra. Libra is justice, right? And it exposes. And who is the dispositor of Libra is Venus. And Venus, the moment the sun goes like as at its apex in the fullness, she goes direct. The thing is that she's with Saturn. Saturn is I'm gonna say like a law keeper. He is one who wants things done in a certain order, in a certain way. He is also the one who is, of a ruler of Capricorn and co-ruler of Libra, or not Libra, Aquarius. So there is this Venus energy that's coming in that wants justice, that wants things. So a lot that's coming in. And we're going to find that there's a lot of intensity that's coming in. So we have to be responsible for our own actions and how we are coming out and relating things at this time, because there's kind of going to be a glitch in the matrix. People are upset and mad at everything that Trump's doing. I don't agree with everything that Trump's doing, but then I understand there's an underlying energy that's there that goes back, and people call me crazy, but that goes back to the Knights Templar, of why they're going after the Middle East and Israel and Jerusalem. There's a reason. There's an underlying reason there, and it goes deeper than Netanyahu and the whole Jewish thing. There's a thing to do with the Knights Templar and connections with that. So as I'm going in and looking at the astrology of the things God wants us to see and our reactions to, there's a reactive energy that's coming in that we have to also watch out for the boundaries. And this can be, and it can still be all over the place because it's in Pisces, right? So it's Pisces energy, it's mutable, it can be all over the place. So it might feel like the sky's falling and UFOs are appearing all over the place. This is this energy also with Chiron. Chiron is the wounded hero. He's the one who got killed by his own people and then brought back to life. He was a sacrifice. Chiron was a sacrifice for Zeus. That's who Chiron is. So he's a sacrifice that for Zeus that was brought back to life, right? To was given immortality. And within that immortality was one to be like the shaman, right? Is huge. Now, when we have this in an opposition, this is where it's like we look at Chiron, because Chiron's right there is going to be exactly 23 degrees with the sun for several days in an opposition to the moon, and this full moon is going to it's going it's going to set us on a trajectory of where more of this world is going to be going, and the chaos that is going to be coming up out of this. We see the lizards in the EU. We see the lizards, in the, you know, who are not even elected officials. I can't even speak right now. Um, coming through, right? We see that. I mean, that they're being seen. We see the people ask me, and they're like, "Well, what about the king?" Let's jumped over to the UK. What about the king? I said, "Well, the king's bought and paid for. The whole thing is bought and paid for." There were times the kings of old who actually stood up for something, who actually fought for something, who fought for their people, who wanted to, who really had a passion for their belief system and what they believed, as the higher frequencies of England. But yet you have there's a lower frequency that's going on, and that you can see it with the mass migration and allowing so many people into the country. Same in Ireland, as well, because Ireland had such a strong, vibrant culture, and then the English came in and kind of fucked it all up, right? And now with that, you have that mass migration that is coming in. These are a lot of things, like, people don't want to look at, they don't want to talk about it, but they're in our face. And these are things that we have to understand are happening, and the responsibility that we have for them. If you can't, if you're not one to go out and fight the man or do something like that, the responsibility is that you have to allow yourself to stay calm when you're getting information that you don't particularly like, right? You don't like what the information, but you got to hear it, so that you can understand it and find out what the truth is from that information. And that's huge, right? That's huge, because a lot of things that come through where a lot of people will believe 100%. I never believed Michael Jackson was a pedophile. I never did. I don't believe that he had that in him, just because of his energy, his aura. And I've followed Deepak Chopra for years. I've even taken courses from his um from some of his teachers and stuff on meditation and different things. Anyways, off topic there, but even Deepak was saying about a lot of things about Michael and his energy. And plus, the other thing, Michael Jackson actually trusted Deepak. Deepak Chopra actually owns a lot of Michael Jackson's music, because Michael signed it over and gave it to him, of music that wasn't even, he had, but it was not out in the public domain. So you look at everything that's going on, from the music industry to Hollywood to politics, where a lot of this infiltration has happened, and how so much of the takeover, has occurred over time. And this isn't something that's happened overnight. This has been going on for some time, in order for power, control, domination. I mean, people ask why. Why is this? Well, why did the Romans do what they did? Why did, Alexander the Great do what he did? It was for power. It was for conquering. It was for whatever their conquest was, right? We see it with many different nations. We have many different nations within Africa that have done the same thing with other tribes. Tribes within North America. Everybody thinks that North American tribes, the First Nations, were really nice people. Not a lot of them. Some of them are real assholes that went on to other tribes and killed the other tribes, stole their women, stole their children, brought them back, right? Sold them, they would sell people even into different slaves. Do your history. So it's all part of how a lot of this world has worked, right? and it's worked on this lower vibration, which is there. It is there. That undercurrent energy is there. You just have to open your eyes. And a lot of people are saying, well, why do I want to open my eyes to that? I don't want to see that ugliness. I don't want to see that craziness. The reason being is like, this is where it's going to come in, where it helps you to renew your own self. It helps you to better understand how everything is going. How, when you understand that, you are able to lift yourself up, not get into the grossness of it. It's to understand it, bless it, bless it with love and light and pure source energy. Why do you bless it? Because they don't want a blessing. Basically, it. You bless it, you love it, because out of that can be a huge transformation of greatness. Even though we don't see it and we don't want to see it. But this is what the responsibility is of all of us, in order for us to come back to our higher selves, to come back to that higher being. Can you, just in this exposing it, where you have people like Candace Owen, Alex Jones, you have people like the pleb, um there's a few others there. Another one is Russell Brand. And do I believe Russell Brand's guilty? No. Do I believe that he is, and I've looked at he's a Gemini. I've looked at his chart. I know he's done some pretty awful, horrible things in his past. He was a heroin addict. He was, he's done crack. He's done a whole bunch of other shit. He was a prodigal prodigy of Hollywood. He's married to Katy Perry. I mean, he's done some pretty horrific things, when it comes to um, his own sexuality and drug addiction. He got fired from MTV. And the reason why he got British MTV, he got fired because he came out and he did a comedy thing on Bin Laden, and also on the towers, just after the towers happened, and people like, well, that's just too soon to do that. And he was high on, he even says, I was high as fuck when I did that. He goes, I was drugged out on heroin. And so I just, when it comes to things to do with do I think there should be a time on something like this, especially when it comes to accusations that are being called upon him? It's a hard one. That's a hard one. I'm sort of on the fence with that, because I feel like if you were like 20 years old in 1995, and you've waited, like, now you're like 40 something years old, 50 something years old, and you're coming forward with this now, out of all of that time, I just find it interesting. I just find it very interesting. I feel like there's a lot of information there that um, needs to come out, and he's exposed himself with a lot of crap that he's done within his books and everything else. And I find it kind of odd that they came out after the first accusations that came about on him in a documentary that they did upon him, right? Um, Ian Ike, like, there's Ike in England and stuff. And he's another one that people really go after as well, because he exposes a lot to do with the lizard people and all, subterranean, we'll call it subterranean energy. So that's all what, this coming into this year. We're in April, and how we are being exposed to all of this. And we need to disconnect from it. And disconnecting doesn't mean that we turn a blind eye. Disconnecting means that, okay, I see it, and now I need to sit and I need to look at the truth. Right? And look at what's going on with everything. And started examining supermarket stuff and how it's all big pharma. Yeah, big pharma has a big part, um, with a lot of foods and stuff like that right now. And the thing is that you gotta look at this is a big one, you gotta look at the United States and big pharma and their influence in food in the food industry, and not saying they don't have anything to do with Canada, but you gotta look at different countries and how the influences their biggest influence is in the States. Right now, they're, because so many people are taking Ozempic to lose weight, they're not buying as much, snack foods. So snack food sales in the States have actually decreased a bit because of so many people jumped on this bandwagon of taking Ozempic, which is horrific in itself. But now they're finding that, okay, we're not making any money. So they're going to try and do something or add some kind of additive in that, right? Kellogg right now in the States is having a huge lawsuit come up against them, and that's because of RFK. And a few other people are coming out and exposing a lot of the ingredients that are in Kellogg's and in most of their cereals, and the artificial vitamins and minerals that are in them. When they say that they're fortified with whatever, you got to look at what is that fortification. So, because I see a lot that comes on TikTok, and and I'm looking at it, and people are like, "Oh, look at this," and I'm like, "Where's that from?" Right? Is that Canadian? Is it British? Is it France? Where's that information coming from? And so you really have to look at it and dissect it that way, because the United States is so different than Canada, especially when it comes to the food industry. He's a Maha support, yeah. Ian Carroll. I've heard of Ian Carroll. I'd have to look into Ian Carroll. So this is what I'm saying. It's like that's why you have to come in and stay calm, but you have to really look at what the information that you're getting and where that information is coming from. You know, a lot of stuff comes because a lot of TikTokers and a lot of people on TikTok have been paid off. They have been paid off by, by the left, by the liberals, by the EU to do their propaganda, right? So you really have to um, do the research. He spoke recently about the vax, autism, and an interesting elite connection. Cool. That would be interesting. Especially about the vax. I mean, especially the vaccinations that are now because of how much is in the vax that was not, when the vaccinations first started coming out. Even, I mean, there were protests with it when it first even came out in the 40s and stuff. It's one of those. It's funny because my mind went because I know people who've had polio and the things that happened when you get polio, and others who've had the vaccination, and didn't get polio. So it's where it's looking at where we have to go back to sort of basics with a lot of things, right? Because I think science and the medical community, and this is also too fine, where there's some really good things that are out there that that need to be shown, that need to be exposed, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly, and we have to see them, right? We have to see those things that, how is vaccination and autism happening? The other interesting thing that if you want to look into is with a lot of autistic people coming into the world, that because it has been on the rise on why they're here, right? I don't think it was, no, I don't think it's a vax injury. He had something else go on with his throat, but I don't think it has to do with the vax because he's had that for quite some time. He had some throat issues, but I don't think it had to do with the vax. But I really not sure about that. Um, but that's the whole thing. It's like there's in everything that we think is evil as is, there is this sparking of light that's there that wants to pop out to cleanse and clear it, you know? Um, and here we are. It's like we have to come to an understanding so that we can come into a place where we can really look into things. When people get really passionate or overly passionate about something and really high hung about things, um, I kind of take a step back because it's like I want to find out more of the information, you know. Uh, so I don't know because he's childhood vaccinated. I would have to. I don't know because his vaccinations would have been. He wouldn't have had the vaccinations they have now that they give children on the time when they had, you know, things go on. So I don't know. I have no idea. Um, you know, on his issue. So I know that he's very much wanting to be healthy and everything else. You know, there's yeah. But that's the thing, it's like even when I came out and I was talking about what was going on with what was going on in 2019 and in 2020, 21, 22, and I was coming out and saying what I was saying, I was using a lot to do with the squares with Uranus. I was also using things to do with the Saturn Pluto conjunction and talking about that and saying that when you see these transits in the chart, we know that there's something going on. And then we saw when, you know, especially when Saturn, you know, was going into Aquarius, we knew that there would be something crazy, mad scientist thing that was going to go on. And this is where it's like, okay, what are they trying to promote? And with Neptune being in Pisces, definitely there is some kind of propaganda going on there. We also had a Mercury retrograde in there, so you got to watch when Mercury goes retrograde in Pisces because you don't hear all the truth, you don't see all the truth. I mean, he just crossed over the North Node recently, and so things aren't being exposed the way that they need to be exposed. Truth isn't going to be set out the way the truth is supposed to be set out. So we know that there's things that are still going to be hidden. It's going to take a while for Mercury to get out of there, get out of its shadow, which won't be till after May. That a lot of things that are being exposed at this time, the things about, you know, whether it's the tariffs, whether it's, you know, when it has to do with the food industry, pharmacare, all of that. I mean, more information is all going to be exposed with all of that. We also have to understand that with Uranus going to be going into Gemini this year, that is bringing in great explosions. That is where we have a Uranian energy going into air. That's very explosive energy. That's very much when the United States really gets involved in more of the world affairs. And we start seeing where the United States really starts to come in. So, you know, this is where I find, you know, you got to take these steps back when it comes to a lot of this information and how things are going. I look at the astrology. That's what I do. I look at the astrology, I read it, I go by what I know and the intuition, and then I ask for guidance from that. And usually that's where a lot of information, weird information comes in. Like I do have clients, a couple clients don't talk, they're not allowed to talk to me anymore. Because they are in the forces in the United States. Um, and then I do have clients that are in the forces here in Canada and are part of the RCMP. And some of the readings that I've done for them, and I've said things and stuff, and they just sort of look at me with a blank face because they can't answer it because they know I've been bang on with it. So this is where it's like taking the astrology and looking at the astrology gives you an idea of what's going on and what needs to be exposed. With Pluto being in Aquarius, it's a time of when we are discovering where birth rates are going to go drastically down over the next 20 years. We're going to be seeing high cancer rates over the next 20 years. This is where, because Pluto goes to a place that nobody else wants to go, he goes to the depths. Look what he did for the last 16 years in Capricorn and the disruption we have within our institutions and bringing that information up, right? So, this is where we have to really have our discernment in what it is that we are looking at. When I found, bringing up Candace Owen again, she's done a few documentaries and things on people, on different people. At first, who I like, oh my God, that can't be true. But then I listened to it, and I'm like, okay, I get where she's coming from. I understand the information that she's bringing out. That's the same way with others. It's like, okay, I got to listen to what they have to say, even though I may not agree with it or I may not like it at first, but then there's something there that I have to look at. You know, it's like at first when, who is it? When that's a really good example is Obama, and everybody was on the bandwagon with Obama, like everybody and stuff, and I was just like, oh no, why? Because there's something about him I didn't like. And I did look at Obama's chart, and Obama's chart, with his natal chart, he has the asteroid Lucifer on top of his sun. So there's a lot of hidden aspects to him that people won't see. And Lucifer is the one who will make things look really beautiful for you, but yet in the back there's corrosion and there's all kinds of things going on that you don't really want to look at or see. Right? So you just are like, okay. there's some crazy shit going on here. There's some things, because I mean Lucifer is the trickster, right? So you got to be careful of the trickster. You got to be careful when somebody's trying to make things look really beautiful for you. And everybody's running on the bandwagon. That's same with Pierre right now. It's like everybody's running on the bandwagon because they don't know where else to go. They don't know where else to go. We're going to Pierre because he's not going to be the savior. Just an FYI for people. He's going to bring in some changes, but there's a lot of things he can't change and he won't be able to change because of how our system is and how our legality system is and who's on our Senate. So he's going to have his hands tied for quite some time. People, yeah, they want hope, definitely. And I mean, he's going to give that hope. But this is where it's like you just have to make sure that you're not putting all of your hope in one basket. Right? And the thing is that hope's a funny word. Hope is a word that I struggle with because of the Muggle word definition is you have hope when there's nothing else. But in the definition, when you look into that of bringing in the Christianity or the godness, the God Christ consciousness, is hope is allowing yourself to go into a higher frequency, knowing that I'm having hope because I know that God is there and bringing that God to me. I wonder what Keanu Reeves looks like. I heard he just blew away Elon in a talk about AI and emotions. Could be. I haven't looked at his chart. Elon's chart, he's a Cancer. He's got a very interesting chart himself. And a lot of, different things in his chart as well. So, but Elon it takes he's his mind goes 1,000 miles an hour, and trying to keep up with him and trying to keep up with his energy. He's very can be very flitting. And I think the things like just the way that he is it's a very difficult energy to be around for him for a very long time. So, and Keanu Reeves is he's another interesting person, very subdued. I haven't looked at his chart, but hope is at least positive energy, and I think there's a benefit to that. Yeah, there's a benefit to that, but what I'm trying to say is like it's not all what people think it's going to be. in putting it. It's going to be bringing in, yes, a change. It'll bring in a change that is needed. That's if it goes the way it is supposed to go. And we um put the light on that. Put the light on that, right? And that's what we got to put the light on. So, uh let me just look up something. Yeah. Reeves, NATO. 1 second. Whoops. Oh, there we go. Astro.com. So, well, he's a Virgo. Keanu Reeves is a Virgo. He's a year younger than me. Looks damn good for his age. A year, yeah, a year younger than I am. So he does have, so he has a stellium in Virgo. Interesting. He has a Pluto, Neptune conjunction, and then he has the Sun and Mercury conjunction. All of this, and it sits on his ascendant. So that Pluto, so he's constantly challenged with things. He's got a lot of challenges, but he has, I mean, for him to, that's why he's so quiet, is that Mercury retrograde. So for him in his quietness, he's very quiet in what he says, but when he speaks, it will speak volume. Being that Virgo and having that Virgo in the first and 12th house, there's some secrets that are kept there. And with Uranus, things can change in his life very dramatically. Definitely, we've seen, knowing his life and stuff, he's had some pretty dramatic things that have happened in his life that has pushed him in a direction. And then with a Cancer moon. So funny because, I mean, Cancer moon, and then he was talking to a Cancer sun. So the way he's feeling and the way somebody's coming out, I mean, there can be um a lot of aggression that can come out between the two of them. And and then with the Pisces energy, the Pisces is sitting in Scorpio. So there's some really deep depths to him on how he looks at things and how he looks at life. So there's some really deep depths. Have you ever told us your opinions on Daniel Smith? We should look up Pierre's chart. I don't think we know the time of birth for Pierre. Hmm. Just go on this one and see what it brings up. Astro themes. Pierre Polyev. Mm. So he's a Gemini with a Virgo moon. Saturn's in Virgo. Pluto and Libra, so he's definitely a Libra. He should win, especially with the Pluto and Libra, because we're in a Pluto Libra leaders age, which is very similar to King Henry VIII, and bringing in that energy. A lot of the aspects of today of the energies are with Pluto Libra. So JD Vance is a Pluto Libra, so we know, I just by looking at JD Vance and Trump's, like, he will be the next leader of the United States, just by going off of his chart. Uh, the thing is with him going up, he's going up against a Pluto Virgo, and so it's almost like, yeah, last chance, last straw for him. Oh, he's born with how many retrogrades? 1, 2, and oh, he's got Lilith and Leo wanting to come by the heart. He's got women issues there. Um, and but he's got Venus is sitting in his second house. Well, okay, because we don't know the houses, right? Because we don't know his time of birth. Uh, so, yeah, so we're not sure of his time of birth, which is fine. So we do an Aries rising. But even with the Aries rising, I mean, he does have that dedication, wanting to have that dedication. He's here to serve. I mean, he does have that North Node in Virgo. So he's here to serve and wanting to serve it and wanting to bring in structure. And that's his internal core. He has a passion for that. What makes him a good speaker is that he does have, you know, Venus is in the home sign and Mercury's in the home sign. So he does want to come out and he does want to say. He can be very methodical in what he says and how he wants to say things, definitely. Um, and he wants to he want I feel like it's like almost looking at his chart, it's like, especially with that Venus Mars conjunction. Venus Mars conjunction in Taurus is a very strong one because it's like I really like there's a passion there, a steadiness there. Venus and conjunction, and this is um just before they go retrograde. So, and before Venus goes retrograde. So yeah, so he does have a passion to do what he's doing. So there's a definite passion with him, and having that Gemini energy, very similar because Trump is a Gemini energy too. Russell Brunson, just I'm just showing you people who have this Gemini energy are very when they speak, they're going to speak, and they're not afraid to speak. They're going to say things, and sometimes they're going to say things that can throw you off. You know, he's a Gemini man. Of course, I love him. And having that Virgo energy, right? So Virgo's the other one that is, of Mercury ruled. So having that, there's a trine there that comes between them. So a trine of saying, I want to be able to allow my service to shine. I'm wanting to show you what I am doing that is of service, and being this is where it's like, especially, and I can see why he's also interested in AI and things along that line because he has high investments in AI, and especially when it comes to the medical area of AI, and being in the third house, and definitely with the second house of being the stability of having Venus there. So there's what he believes in and how he believes it. It's very hard to change his mind. He's going to believe the way he believes in what he sees. That Venus is very bougie when it comes there. So there's a bouginess to him of the things that he likes. And with Mars there can be a very like forthright energy. He does have that charisma when it comes to women. When you see those two together, there's a charisma, even though you wouldn't think it by looking at him, um, for his energy. But he does have a way that a lot of women like to be around him or work with him because he does have that type of energy that's not overpowering or domineering. So that's very interesting with that. Bum, 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 bum. Danielle? I haven't ever looked at Danielle's. Alberta's premier. So I think she's a Libra. Balanced, harmonious. There we go. Yeah, she's a Libra. A Libra. Well, she's one that you don't want to get a fight with. And she has a Sag moon. That's why she's so feisty. She's got this Sag moon, and then she has um Chiron's in Aries. Pluto, she's a Pluto Libra too. So she's another one that has come in to be a leader and come in to lead definitely. Um and being especially with the Libra, her Libra and Pluto, they're 5-degree orb. That's not really conjunct. Have to be a little bit closer than that. But yeah, I mean, she's got that Libra energy. Now, knowing Libras are they will fight to the death when they know they're right. If they have an agenda, Libras are going to come in and they're going to make sure their agenda is known. People love Libras. People adore. They feel comfortable around Libras. So she does make people feel comfortable. But she also has that moon in Sag, that mutability, and Sages are where she can actually probably make um, like Sagittarius are gonna go places that other people aren't gonna go sometimes. But the other thing about Sagittarius is that they are the jury, so they are accountability. So there's a lot of accountability in what she's doing from the Libra to the Sag. So there's a lot to do with justice and courts and bringing that justice in court to it. She's not a person to I would not want to fight her. I would not wanna fight her. If I felt like unless I knew I was absolutely right and I had the facts. If you go to her and you don't have the proper facts, she will tear you apart, right? She'll just tear you apart. That's a Libra, right? Libras have a sword. So they will skewer you and love you at the same time. So that's why when she came out and she spoke about, parents having a right. Like that's sort of a controversial thing that she came out and said that parents have a right over their children and the school doesn't have a right to dictate on children's pronouns and things like that. And that parents have a right to know this. That she didn't back down. She didn't back down. She didn't care what you were saying or people calling her names. Although Libras feel it deeply, there's a great depth of pain when it comes to them, but they will still stand up for their beliefs, and especially having that Sages are like a fucking dog with a bone. They when they have that bone and they know things, they won't fucking let it go. I know Sages can be real assholes when they want to hold you to accountability. They will. I'm going to court and I will spend my last dime taking you to court. I've seen it before. I've seen, I've had clients who are like Sages and they're going through a divorce. I'm saying, okay, you gotta let it no. I'm not gonna he's gonna pay for this. Like they have a grudge sometimes. So they have this deep grudge of like "Ugh." So it's great. So she has that. And then she does have that Pluto coming in. So anybody like you see a lot of Pluto Libras are the ones coming in. Trump is a Libra. I mean, Trump is a Pluto Leo. Like he is the baby boomer of baby boomers. Like he was born in that era of baby boomers, right? So he is the epitome of baby boomers, right? So hopefully he's the baby boomer that makes things change, right? And it's very, for him to be in there and being a Pluto Leo is quite interesting to see at this time. Um, Looking at his chart, there's other things that are going on in Trump's chart as well. Um, so, but I still hold that JD Vance. I mean, even before, I think maybe before Trump's term is over, there could be something that happens to him because he's also in the same line as, and some things in his chart correspond to that of what happened with Lincoln. So, which is quite interesting as well. So it's looking at the charts and then going back to today is like we are you know coming to a better understanding. But this is where it's like there's a lot of sacrificing that's coming in too. and the different types of sacrificing. So to better understand and the related to be relatable and understanding to that. And it's like sometimes, you don't want to hear the things that you need to hear. And it's where responsibility that's coming in and not pushing that responsibility off, that that you have to take responsibility of. Because if you're not taking the responsibility for the things that are coming forward, then you're going to find that this full moon, God's going to speak to you in a way maybe you don't want to hear it or see it. And come in very, very strong. And also looking at how you are dissing oneself. How are you putting your own self down? Right? So this is also coming in about your own self-worth. Right? And looking at your self-worth. What, how, I am worthy, right? I am love. Allowing yourself to step into that is really beautiful with this full moon, because full moon in Libra and dispositor of, is Venus. Venus is very much love, beauty, essence. She is, money and finance. She loves the bougie things. People who have a sun or moon in Taurus or they got a bouginess to them, right? They got a way about them that they're going to bring out that charisma, that energy of it. Usually when it comes with, with that Venus energy, and you embrace that Venus energy, it's embracing your truth, right? It's embracing, yeah, no, this is what I like. That's what I don't like. This is what I want to embrace in my life. I don't want to embrace this. This is when a lot of things to do with morality and values and that are coming to the surface. Things are bubbling up because there's still a lot of, Pisces energy. Things are just bubbling up and coming up to the surface. And sometimes when things bubble up to the surface, it's not all nice things, right? That's when you got to do a lot of scraping off, right? Because it's not all everything that's really beautiful and gorgeous, right? And so you got to look at that and say, okay, you know what? There's more stuff coming up, but we got to look at it. We got to scrape it off and and dispose of what it is that no longer aligns with us. But there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work that we have to do. A lot of things, from the pharmacare to our, to our food industry, to our schooling, our institutions with schooling, to our medical system. There are things that can be put in place that can make things run so beautifully and wonderfully. But again, you got a lot of, weeds that we have to clean up. I mean, we got a whole circus here in Canada that is connected to a really big red tent. So, like, I'm not talking about the women's red tent, I'm talking about another red tent that is connected to some evil shit, right? Some real evil shit. And it's just one of those things that now has to come out, has to be exposed. Pretty nutters. It's nutters, man. It's a nutty thing out there. But this is when God wants us to see. Look at how you're being reactive to what you're seeing. How are you putting your boundaries up? And it can be all over the place. And that's what you got to look at. It can be all over the place. And when it's all over the place, that's when you got to be like, okay, I got to recenter myself. I got to ground myself, because this is where I said the sky's falling. You're going to hear crazy shit about UFOs and all kind of stuff is going to come out. There's going to be probably something crazy when it comes to do with fires, eruptions, with that. And with Neptune, it could be some kind of, volcanic eruption. In Aries, it could be, and especially with this full moon, it's volatile. And what that volatility looks like and feels like. So we have that. And then also with, it could also do with a lot more flooding or something like that, or some kind of shifting. So earthquakes. So weather patterns can be really, I mean, today it's what, plus 18 something in Calgary, and tomorrow it's supposed to snow or something. So, and then by Monday, it's plus 16. So erratic changes. Yeah, baby. It's there. So look at how you're connecting. Yeah. Oh, it is. When I look at different, because I just looked at them briefly, but you can see some of the things of, in their life of why they're doing what they're doing, and they came in with that. Um, so I just saw like a thing just came across my feed about Mark Carney giving up the election. Let's see if he's not liking a lot of the questions. He's being asked questions that he's not used to being asked. That's the other thing. I didn't look up. That's the other one. Hang on. Let's look up dimwits. Mark Carney. Oh, what is he? March. Sorry, I just looked at Mark Carney. Let's see. He's Pisces. He's got a Virgo. Yeah, and his Pluto's in Virgo. He's got Mars in Virgo. Yeah, and with Uranus is there. What a feisty man. All in oppositions. Born on a full moon. Well, almost a full moon. So coming up to, yeah. So he's got this full moon energy that comes in. So he really wants to be seen. Venus is exalted in his chart. He's because he's got his ascendants on Taurus. So he'll come in with a fight. He'll definitely come in with a fight. Venus loves to be in Pisces, so he just likes to be, here I am. It's almost like he feels like he's a gift to God. He's a gift, and that, sorry, moon conjunct. Moon is in conjunct with, or in an opposition to Saturn, to Venus. So there's a lot that I think that's hidden, because with that moon opposition with Venus, there's a lot when he wants to expose, but he can't expose. There's some, he's got a real dirty chart. Sorry. He's got some really crazy shit in his chart. He's a little bit of especially with that Venus opposition, and it's in Virgo. Virgos can be like these little they got some little sexual tendency. You think that they're all just like, comes out with a suit and tie, but he might be wearing a G-string underneath, that kind of crazy shit. And with the sun in Pisces is like, and the sun, I mean, the sun doesn't like to be in Pisces either, because it gets washed out. It can't be seen as much as it wants to be seen. So, and then with Uranus, it's like in Virgo, like he can change on a flip of a dime. He can change on a flip of a dime. That's probably why there's so much with him. Looking at his chart, you could see why he was involved with the island and stuff like that, and a lot of pictures with him. And yeah, so very interesting just seeing that. But yeah, he's got that little bit of a perverted side to him, and doesn't like to be told what to do. Doesn't like to be challenged. That Piscean energy that comes in with that Venus energy, with wanting to, like, I am, like, it's like almost like he wants to be emperor. He wants to be the top boy kind of thing. Um this is where it's like he probably has, some daddy issues there too, and wanting to prove himself to daddy, you know, with who he is. So there's some a little bit of daddy issues that are coming in with that. Um, that come forth with it. Yeah, so he's got a lot of some things about masculinity with him as well. It's just like his chart makes me it's an interesting chart. There's a lot there going on with his chart, but he does have that Pluto in Virgo, so his time or his rulership is basically um is done. Like he's not here to be that ruler. He's not here to be that ruler. Although he loves it when people ask him information or ask him advice. He likes to be the top dog. He likes to be the top boy. You know, top of his class kind of thing. And the other part too is like he, you know, his wife is interesting too. Yeah, well, I can see why he'd marry his wife because his wife is probably just as perverse as he is because for just looking at some of the things is just like yeah, he's the one who'd probably want the blowjob underneath the table in a restaurant, you know? So to do those types of things in public, he's got yeah, there's that's the type of perverse that I got from that chart. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy. What guy wouldn't? A lot of guys wouldn't. What do you mean? What guy wouldn't? There's a lot of men that would not. They no, honestly, to have high morals, like that's to me, that's disgusting. Like, what guy wouldn't want a blowjob underneath the table at a restaurant? I'm thinking if a guy wants that, I would question his morality and his values. Definitely question that. I honestly would because that is just that. I mean, and the thing is, because he's just got that ickiness about him. Like he's yeah. So his morality is not there when it comes to things. So there's a lot of stuff in question. It's like Bill Clinton, you know, and everybody's like, yeah, I'd love to have a blowjob in the Oval Office. Yeah, that'd be so cool. The, you know, that's disgraceful. I mean, that's where you got to look at where's that person's mind. Where's the perversion in the mind? And that's where when it comes to this energy coming in, and all of things bubbling up, it is looking at the perversion, it is looking at the immorality, it's looking at the morals and values of this world, and what those morals and values are, the ego definitely, and where that ego is, and the demoralization of that they would have over that person to do that, you know, when he's, you know, especially when he's, you know, involved with that guy from that private island with the planes and stuff, and his girlfriend having a submarine license. Like, who has a fucking submarine license? It's where is that morality? And this is why, you know, when we find out like the responsibilities and the things that you push off, this is where God is going to speak. God is going to speak about those immoralities. Like you saw, I'm going off on a tangent here. When you saw the things that happened to the things that were trumped up on Trump, and everything to do with the prostitute that he had sex with that prostitute the same day his son was born. He went out with that woman. So he even knows, like even Trump knows, like that woman. Yeah, I paid her off. Yeah, she made millions off of that. Whatever happened in that room, she's made a lot of money off of that, and she still made a lot of money off of it after she got paid for everything in order to try and take Trump down. With that, and there's a lot of things when you look at Barron and you look at Trump, there's a lot of things that, you know, where Barron is really wanting to get dad's approval as well. Barron's chart is interesting as well, but this is where it's like, okay, where is the responsibility? And we got a circus going on with no responsibility, right? No responsibility. And when you have a thing that's going on where nobody's taking any responsibility, you know, morals and values are going out the door. We don't give a shit. We're going to do. This is where you got somebody who's a Libra coming in, who's going to take it. Which wife has the submarine license? The one who owned the island. I don't want to say their name on here. but the one who owned the island. She's in jail right now. So she had a submarine license so that she can take people on and off and take people to the island. So this is yeah, and you go into her history and her connection and what her family connection is to the crown. That's a whole nother es- craziness of what it is, right? And the craziness of that energies that are there, and how her family is deeply connected to the crown. That's why she got Andrew, um, connections with Andrew and stuff, right? But it was an association that Elizabeth did not entertain, put it that way. She was, one thing about Elizabeth, she was very good at distancing herself from things and knowing who to entertain and who not to entertain. She came from very much old school on that. So so she knew, like, even when uh Princess Diane, when she died and she was going out with the Muslim boy, his dad tried so hard to get in with the queen to do everything right. You would never see the queen sit with a Muslim like that in her box. Never. She would never entertain that. Never. Which is interesting because she knows in entertaining that you're letting the devil in the side door. They're already dancing with one devil. Why are they bringing in the next? Right? So it's interesting. Now we got a king that entertains the two devils, which is an interesting fact, interesting thing in itself. So oh, the drama in this world. Drama, 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 drama. And the craziness in this world. It goes on and on and on and on. So, full moon readings are all out. So, if you've ordered your full moon reading, check your inbox. It should be there. All right. So, full moon readings are out. May 1st, we start the 31-day journaling challenge. And if you are wanting to join me on that, it is $50. Just let me know that you are wanting in. And we have a workbook for journaling and things like journaling. We got a calendar set up. We're just going to do it all, baby. We're going to do it all. And weekly meetings on connecting and journaling. And the weekly meetings too with the journaling, I have different prompts and getting us to get more creative with our writing. So clouds, movement. So there's a lot of movement, shape shifting. Gotta love when the clouds are moving. I love clouds. I love watching clouds. Clouds can be so healing and give you so many messages when you watch them. In both subtle and more dramatic ways, you can shapeshift by the choice of clothing, hairstyle, and things along that line. So clouds, because they're movement, because you can look at a cloud and you'll see one thing and then, just glance away and it's something else. I love that. When I was a little girl, and I think I've told this story before, but my mom, we would watch clouds. But one of the things when we watched clouds is that she said, choose a cloud. And if you have a problem, put your problem on that cloud and watch that cloud as your problem disperses. Just love that. So it'll shape into something else. So knowing that clouds are powerful. I used to have, when we lived on Temple in the Northeast, I had a medicine wheel, a giant medicine wheel in my backyard that I made because I was told by spirit to get one. So I did. I was told for many years to have a medicine wheel. I need a medicine wheel. I need a medicine. We need to get a medicine wheel. So finally I made a medicine wheel out of some beautiful river rocks and stuff in the backyard. Fabulous, great energy. And it was alignment of setting this medicine wheel and activation to where 2012 was coming. This was before 2012, but in January of 2010 was the end of the Aboriginal calendar in New Zealand, and I had to activate it by that time, which I didn't know until my girlfriend did some research for me. Anyways, had it set up, had things going. It was just beautiful energies coming through. One day I was out there in the back and I just, was just running inside to get something and then was going to go out and do a meditation. And I could swear to this day, I swear, I mean, this is like my UFO sighting. Out of the clouds, there was this great big UFO looking, it kind of looks like the spaceship Enterprise kind of thing, came out in a cloud formation. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh my God. Called out Steve, called out, and I think my eldest son there, Dom. I said, do you see this? And my eldest son, Dom, at the time, he's like, Mom, that's a fucking UFO. And I'm like, yep. I said, we just activated something. So I said, this is a portal for people to come through, and light workers to come through. So I found that interesting because a lot of people who came and sat in there felt different energies coming in, all very positive, all very beautiful. So, and with that comes the iceberg. So we go from the clouds to something to be submerged. So there's things that are submerged. An iceberg, yes, things are shape shifting. And I think this has to do with our world. There's a lot of shape shifting going on. There's a lot of things that are going on, but there's still some really deep depth energy that is submerged that hasn't come up to the forefront. We're not seeing everything. We're only seeing what's above ground. We haven't gone to the very bottom of it all. And to get to the bottom of it all is going to take some time in getting it all. And the last one is, so ground yourself because the mountains are coming in strong. So ground yourself in all of this. Know that you have the mighty strength to go through whatever's coming through in our lives. We have the strength, we have the divine, we have God with us. And with that, we can put in our hope and our love and our joy and our faith in a higher power and bring in the Christ consciousness. Whew, what a day. I got to get going because I got to go pick up a little boy from school. Half day Friday. Who knew, right? He only goes to school for 4.5 days. Next week is he'll be off for 4 days because we have Easter coming. So there you guys go. Thanks for this. I love the interaction. I love the conversation that we had. Definitely, if you want to book in a reading, get a natal chart done, get a hold of me, and we can go through that and we can book you in. And have a blessed one. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you in all you say and all you be and all you do. Yeah, let's continue the crazy ride and the journey we call an earth walk. God bless and the goddess bless. Bye-bye.